Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Johnny's Predator actually comes reality. It doesn't really feel like it, especially in the first match at least. I can definitely see maybe where Johnny's coming in the Boston Uprising game with the rumor that maybe Punk's coming back, Crimson a little bit of playtime too. Like, we'll see later down the line. But yeah, the Paris and Mayhem game is going to be a pretty interesting affair. Both of them have played Farah in recent matches and maps, which is quite interesting. We've got a little bit of the Jay Silly as well, Rose.
That was such a fun match to watch as well, especially when, you know, FloridaMayhem ended up getting so creative. We saw like 6 different DPS heroes throughout the entirety of the match. Like, that's a lot of versatility. And I remember actually seeing a tweet from McGravy where he said that, you know, especially versus a team like Dallas Fuel, they weren't super confident in that mirror match, so you have to get a little bit more creative. But against a team like the Paris Eternal, I feel like we won't see nearly as much creativity because Florida can just kind of rely on those fundamentals to be able to win the mirror.
Well, they need to win here as well, because if they lose, they are out of contention for the Summer Showdown. So they need to find the dub, whether that's pulling out the Jay Silly or whether that's going straight back to the regular old comp we're seeing more often than not now with the Ashe and the Sojourn and the Junker Coin, of course. Right, FloridaMayhem, they are starting Hydra today, so still no Exi, so it feels like Mayhem right now more comfortable with Hydra in the lineup. Of course, when he kind of burst onto the scene, Rose, in the Overwatch League, his Sojourn was up there, like one of the best. People were saying, this guy, you know, pretty crazy on the hit scan, or on the Sojourn at least. And then we knew Exi was coming into the lineup, and then everybody was saying, well, when's Hydron actually going to play? Where Exi could maybe play a little bit better than he could. But right now, the FloridaMayhem seeming like they want to just run Hydron. More comfortable with that fact, and, you know, his Sojourn did look very clean at the start of the season. Checkmate 2, his Genji has been kind of extraordinary. Will we see anything crazy? Don't know, but Checkmate Junkrat, wouldn't mind. Wouldn't mind.
I would totally be down for some more Junkrat here, but I don't know. I mean, look at this Paris squad as well. They've got some tricks up their sleeve. I think they're still trying to find themselves when it comes to playing in the Overwatch League. But Jaws, even when we were able to take a look at one of their most recent matches, we saw some bright spots. Rack Attack on that Brigida has been so standout to make sure that things are, you know, being booped away with those flails, or just the team is being kept alive. And then Malthal's Genji as well, I think, is another hero that we have to look at as being very proficient in this roster.
It's definitely been a bright spot, that's for sure. Especially when he's on camera, always does some attempting to lick the camera last time around. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going on in the Paris Eternal camp, but they're having a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Just gonna ignore that, but that's okay. And you know, Crowie as well. I think that the desk has pointed out that every single individual player on this team can be there, can get there, but they're not there quite yet. So hopefully they're still going to be able to use this as a learning opportunity. And you know what? Maybe they do surprise us. Maybe they have been able to work out some of the synergy issues and maybe just the nerves in general of playing in the Overwatch League.
We are going to Lijiang Tower as our first map, so there is no Nepal, so maybe no Farah. Although you can kind of play out Lijiang.
You can, like maybe Gardens or something? Yeah,
a little bit of Gardens. Quite classic for the Farah, or like Echo, which is quite nice. We're going to Midtown, Gibraltar, Coliseum, Nepal if we really need it. So we could go to Nepal if we go to map number 5.
That's
of course,
true.
Mayhem don't want to go there. They just want to end this 3-0. So they can just move on to the final day tomorrow. The qualifiers. Where they'll face New York Excelsior.
Yep, it's going to be a tough one, but FloridaMayhem for sure needs a win here today. But, you know, they did play before. You can see that you have that cute little stat at the bottom. But this was also a very different team than what we're looking at now for Paris. We'll see if Malthal actually sticks to the Farah, though. Interesting.
I mean, maybe. Oh, is there still that spot? Yeah, there is.
Oh.
There's a spot in the spawn room where you can hit Q as far, and it. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I didn't know that was still a thing. Wow, I remember seeing that a long time ago, but apparently it's still a thing. Okay, well, no silliness for the time being. Maybe that'll be changing later on. We got Midtown and Gibraltar, which will be quite interesting maps, especially Gibraltar. Maybe we see something crazy from FloridaMayhem, but no, it's just static comp so far. Oh, Malthal takes the first death of the series already with a Checkmate finding that kill. Look at FloridaMayhem's presence actually moving all the way up. How Muffle got caught off guard.
It seemed like maybe he was caught out of position there, and that was something that Checkmate could have taken advantage of. It's always so tough because Checkmate's one of those types of players that when he sees an opportunity, he will take it. So you really can't make any sort of positional mistakes in front of him.
All right, speed boost rush for the Paris Eternal, and they actually boop Hydra. However, Checkmate once again comes up big for the FloridaMayhem. Bit of an even trade, not so much anymore as Quarry runs down RuPaul, and it's an even trade again. There you go, it's 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. 3 on 3, quite a mirror match. Checkmate's going pretty low though. You've only got that Lucio healing as of now, and it's not going to be enough to sustain the Genji on the FloridaMayhem side. They still control the point, so it's not bad. And people are coming back quite readily as Sermashed finds the boop on Lucamino. An extremely scrappy fight. And still the FloridaMayhem willing to fight. RuPaul is back. Sermashed's going to come back rather soon. Ooh. Eventually, RuPaul's finished off. Sermashed, 1 HP. Doesn't quite get taken down. In fact, Hydra takes care of Rack Attack. And this fight has been going on for approximately 15 minutes now. As the Paris Eternal to eventually finish off Checkmate. But now someone's back! Another FloridaMayhem player on the point. Wait a second, who's that round the corner? It's RuPaul. Oh no, he's backing up. It's all good.
Okay.
Fight's over. Paris can.
I mean, at this point, right? Florida and Paris were trading blow for blow, that it made a lot of sense for FloridaMayhem to continue to commit themselves to the point. They walked away with 61% of that capture progress.
Yeah, you take that, you take that.
I think you take that every day of the week. But now we're actually coming up to ultimates as well, so I'm expecting these Dragon Blades. Lucamino, though, has the answer online before Zermaj. Oh, never mind.
Don't need that beat anymore. Muffle's already dead. There's the beat from Paris Eternal, stopping Checkmate's play, doing much, but still in that small corridor, those swings are still doing a heck of amount of damage. Checkmate finish off Cry and Lucamino, make that 3 with Rack Attack biting the dust. FloridaMayhem run over the Paris Eternal. Muffle's blade just dulled there. Hydron took him out rather quickly. Just pulled it and instantly died.
I was going to say, Sermasha doesn't have the sound barrier up yet, but it didn't matter at all. So that's one way to deal with a blade. If you just take them out before they can take out you, then I think you're sitting pretty. But both sound barriers are off the board now. Really looking at the rallies and also these rampages.
Oh, nice rampage coming out from both Junker Queens. Someone burns down Lucamino. That dot damage doing a fair amount. Both rallies have been popped too. So FloridaMayhem still up a player. And now Hydron leading the charge with that overclock. Scores the kill onto a Rack Attack in the back. And with a quick point flip, Paris Eternal have to go again. Last fight now, 90%. And FloridaMayhem, what are they going to do? They're just going to run up to the spawn doors.
At this point, why not? I mean, you can just stop Paris from even touching the point again to pop the overtime.
Yeah, someone has to touch. Lucamino has got 1 kill, Rack Attack with another. There we go. Looks like someone's on the point. It is Muffle. Just in a duel with a RuPaul. And wow, he actually goes down to Sermashed. I'm not sure this will matter because there are still double supports and a DPS on the point for Paris. And yeah, they do end up getting the flip, but it looked rather dicey at the end of that.
Yeah, Muffle's been taken out a lot. I feel like there's a lot of focus from Florida to make sure that Genji isn't finding as much value. And yeah, wow, look at that. I don't think.
No deflects.
Oh no.
Goodbye.
Well, that's a lot of respect to the Genji.
Yeah, easy 4v5 now. They knew Muffle died pretty late, so now they can just run in and have to worry about Genji resetting off their backline. Paris Eternal, however, have to worry about Checkmate doing exactly that. Oh, a little deflect in front of the flailing brig. Just like that, the FloridaMayhem do end up wiping the Paris Eternal. Yeah, he's behind you, Checkmate. It's not a horror game, but it is quite scary for Paris Eternal. There's one Lucio. Oh, it's Lucamino, but he's dead. There goes the round, and FloridaMayhem off to a good start.
I think this is just the way that Florida needs to play this, though. Like Genji and having those blades at the ready can be a fight win. And especially if you aren't super confident that you might have some type of answer, like the sound barrier available, then you may as well just go after the Genji, get them off pace. I feel so bad because like it doesn't feel good to be the constant focus for targeting, and that's what Malthus in terms of position right now. It's rough because, you know, what do you really do at that point unless you try to invest all of your resources on Paris' side to try to keep them alive?
Checkmate, gonna stay on the Pharah.
It looks like
Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, checkmate Pharah. No mercy pocket. It's going to just rely on the healing packs, the armor packs from RuPaul. Speaking of which, RuPaul's pretty low. Oh, he's dead. Well, that's unlucky. Checkmate needs to find some value. Malfoy on the other side. He's found 2 quick kills and Summer Sheds off the map. Reset for the Florida Mayhem. Wow, that was an extremely quick push from Paris Eternal.
Yep.
They spot Checkmate in the air. It's like a lot of sustain damage with the Pharah. Oh, there you go. Checkmate actually switches straight to the Genji. It's a lot of sustain damage, but you really need to be able to hit somebody and then the team follow up on it, right?
Right.
And normally that kind of player is someone like a Genji who follows up on Hydron's damage. But yeah, if you have the Pharah and Hydron, it's mainly about the kind of the poking and hopefully hitting someone with a railgun and a rocket.
Yeah, the splash damage just isn't enough in that case. So good switch off.
Ooh. There you go. Speaking of railgun body shots, there's Hydron. He's pretty low. Had to dash back to the rest of his team. But yeah, with Checkmate starting to go to the Genji, instant value has been found. No funny business from the Florida Mayhem. Instant switch and a cap.
I think this is just how Florida needs to play. This is about the fundamentals. It's about playing the mirror, and especially when you know as well that there are players that can have pop-off moments on Paris, you don't want to fall victim to any of those types of moments. So Florida, they do have to kind of just stick to what is working for them so far, as much as it is fun to see the Pharah. But Checkmate's already 65% to play, keeping up with Malfoy.
Yeah, and he's changed too. Did have that DPS passive, so he got a little bit from that Pharah damage, but still keeping up. With the Genji that got a double kill very early on, very respectable. Another quick fight for Mayhem. They're going to continue to control the point, and now the ultimate's coming online.
Yeah, we're going to see the blades coming up pretty quickly as well, but this is where it gets tough now. Surmajed is going to be the one that's in the lead with an answer to Malfoy's Dragon Blade. Lucamino trailing behind just a little bit, but maybe if Rakatak can get this rally up, then that's at least some sustain that they could use to get the beat online.
There's a blade from Checkmate. He's got that commanding shout at his back. Oh, Rakatak didn't even see him coming. Both supports in trouble for the Paris Eternal, and yeah, no support ults even used in that fight. For Paris at least. Surmajed did use his beat to counter that blade from Malfoy. But a good team kill. And I mean, Mayhem are just setting themselves up for success here. 3 ults online for this next one. Paris Eternal are going to have to come up with something big.
I mean, you could just pop the rally now if you're RuPaul. Go ahead and grab that shield, get that rolling, and then you could just go with the Rampage to follow that up as well. At this point, then Florida Mayhem just kind of unkillable. You can't really out-sustain the damage that would be coming through.
Double overclock. Everybody's lining up. I'm waiting for this 4K Hydron. Hits the Genji in the body. Beats still available from the Paris Eternal. Malfoy dead already, and someone on the point with a big rampage. Rakatak's in trouble, but Lucamino saves him with that sound barrier as Krawi takes care of him with that brutal axe swing. Paris Eternal still holding on to their rampage, and the Florida Mayhem are now in overtime, just trying to isolate one target, but it's actually RuPaul that's getting chased down by the rest of Paris. Krawi uses his rampage and affects both Surmajed and Checkmate with that anti-heal. Someone changed over to the Winston to get back to the point in time, but Florida Mayhem do end up losing, so he's going to go straight back to the Junker Queen.
Yeah, I like that Krawi held on to the Rampage, because if Paris Eternal had cleaned up Florida just a little bit faster, then you have that Rampage to keep control of the point for the next fight. You would have been the only ultimate online. But I think that the situation was dire enough after Surmajed had gotten a pick. You go for it. But Florida's coming back really fast here.
Well, I know on both sides, really, just ult tracking's pretty easy. Everybody used everything in the last fight, so you're not really expecting anything more than just a neutral fight in this situation. Krawi's already pretty low. Hydron using that power slide to get away, and now Krawi's just alone, but he does take, or help Malfoy take RuPaul with him. Well, less heals for Florida Mayhem, but I think they're more than willing to fight. Such a small amount of front line for the Paris Eternal and Dove, and Malfoy already pretty low. Checkmate dashed him to back, earns himself a blade with those headshots, and an easy kill on Lucamino. Rakatak didn't stand a chance either. Paris Eternal. I'm going to get wiped. Can they touch the point in time? The only person here is Krawi. Oh, he throws the knife. Malfoy is back. No deflect, no dash. and a lot less health. Oh, Checkmate just jumps off the map. He's trying to make it even. Don't worry. They do trade somehow. Crowie's still pretty low. Is Rakatak and Lukamino make it back to the point? Will actually that be the difference maker? I'm not sure. The FloridaMayhem lack their Genji. They've already used their beat, and now Hydron's in a whole world of hurt. Rakatak and Crowie end up going down, as now it's up to Dove to try and find kills. He's getting chased, and with that overhealth from RuPaul's Rally, it's not going to be enough. Even with Checkmate jumping off the map, the FloridaMayhem still claim the round. Oh, Muffle. He's 30 HP. And there's OT.
Yeah,
Crowie's dead.
It's going to be a slow trickle.
He's done. Yep. There it is. It's OT. There you go. Pretend that wrap-up hand was handled just there, and it sounded fine. FloridaMayhem with a nice 2-0 start on control. Good start. And yeah, FloridaMayhem not doing anything crazy. Rose, you know, a little bit of Farah, but they do need this dub today. They are fighting over 2 positions in the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, and they're off to a really good start as well. I think the focus that they're putting onto each individual player of Paris has been really pivotal so far. And then also just the quick swaps to know that, yeah, the Farah didn't work right away, but they were very quick to adjust here. They know what they need to do today.
Maybe silly things are going to happen a little bit later. We'll see. 1-0 for the FloridaMayhem in a must-win match against the Paris Eternal. We're going to jump to a break. We've got Midtown up next. welcome back. Here's a Hydra stat card for you. Oh, voice went a bit weird then. Yeah, he did a lot of damage and a lot of final blows. And railgun accuracy looking pretty clean as well. 64%. And only 4 deaths on Lee Zhang Tower. Going to head to Midtown next. No substitution. So we're going to see Hydron again in the lineup. You know, Paris Eternal, I feel like every week we kind of say, you know, they got bright spots, bright spots here and there. I would love to see them after this tournament in a different meta and see how they perform then. They've only got 1 map win so far in the Summer Showdown qualifiers, so seeing them in a different meta might paint them in a bit of a different light. I'm excited to see the development of the Paris Eternal, but I think this game very much focused around FloridaMayhem and them trying to win here. They need to be able to clutch up and ideally take a 3-0, because then you get a better map score, Rose.
Yeah.
But they are fighting over 2 spots in the Summer Showdown. London Spitfire, Gladiators, New York, and Florida are currently fighting over those 2 spots.
Which is so weird when you think about the teams that are down there. Like, I still am in shock at this point that Gladiators are still fighting for their life.
Glad's down there and Atlanta Reign not making it to the tournament. Like, that is insane stuff. Insane stuff. And we mentioned it yesterday, but I'll reiterate it now because it's fairly important. The Mayhem, they need to win here. If they do, that final match on the Sunday could determine it all. Could determine that last spot. It's New York Excelsior versus the Florida Mayhem. It's going to be a crazy one. Nail-biting stuff right into the very end. Normally, as you get closer to the tournaments, like, some matches don't become as important, especially for like actual qualifying. It's more on like the placing side of things. But that match, the very last one, could determine that last spot. We'll have to wait and see how that ends up panning out. But we are in Midtown, and FloridaMayhem running out on the defense first.
Oh, ooh, okay. We do get a little bit of silly business, but it's not actually silly business because this is a strategy that we've seen from FloridaMayhem that was so hyper successful. Sir Majid on the Zenyatta and RuPaul on the Ana. Joss, I'm so excited about this because the way that we've been able to see FloridaMayhem capitalize on the tools that are available to both of those support heroes has been so fun. RuPaul hitting a bunch of sleeps onto blading Genjis. Sir Majid also using those orbs of discord just to be able to try to get like massive volleys or even just help out, just increase that damage overload. This is going to be fun to see, and I think this is, you know, this is like a legit strategy for Florida. It's with these 2 players specifically. Like, it only works with these 2 players.
Very much feels like it. Yeah, that Discord orb can be quite troublesome for Krawi or just any Junker Queen, to be fair. You got no shield to kind of hide behind, so you have to just take cover. Uh-oh. Oh, nice little bit of defensive work there by Checkmate. He dashed straight into Lucamino, who's trying to go for a little cheeky play onto Sir Majid. Oh, and Marvel ends up falling over. Not a great start. The longer these fights end up like... Oh, Lucamino's just straight up dead. Oh, there's no way. There's no way. There's way. Okay, Lucamino makes it out alive somehow. Long range axe, and actually someone gets punished. Whoa, he didn't expect that either. Jumped out of his chair almost. Paris Eternal with a good snipe onto someone. Have opened this one wide.
They really have. And at this point, it's really about sustaining and like trying to be able to push forward with this advantage. Don't get caught in some of these CC effects.
See ya.
Wow.
Nothing nicer than seeing a volley to the head of a DPS. Feels pretty good, man. Yep. All right, 2 ticks on the board, Rose. Here comes someone. He's back in the action already. And remember, they don't have Paris Eternals don't have Malthel at all to help them with the damage. And yeah, they kind of needed it, I felt like. Quite quick of a team wipe. And with Paris Eternal not being able to like stop Sir Majid taking these off angles, the longer these fights last, like I mentioned before, the way more beneficial it is for the Zen comp because that added damage from the Discord.
Yeah, look at that.
going Tracer?
Yeah, exactly. This is a way to deal with it. Paris has just identified that same pain point you mentioned, which is there's no real way to go after Sir Majid, who's taking these longer angles to try to stay alive and also, oh my god, like also get picks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll wait. We'll reset, and we'll wait to see how Dove approaches this.
Yeah, you got to go fast if you're Paris, right? That's why you. That's why a lot of these teams obviously run Lucio with this kind of comp. And against the Zen, you just have to get on him ASAP. You can't just sit out in the open. But it can be tough if you just get discorded. A couple of headshots from the Zen, or Yep, another huge right click from
Oh
Summer
my
Showdown,
God.
just like that. It's gonna hold your progress. I mean, Paris Eternal, they do have 2 ticks on first, so it's not they're not in the worst spot in the world, but they need to get Maltho and Dove in a position where they can get on top of Summer Showdown. But now he's got Transcendence. He can pop it defensively if he really needs to.
Exactly. And at this point, I feel like Sir Majed doesn't even need to save it for the blade.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Shemay was high in the sky. There's the Transcendence as Paris Eternal tried to get on top of the Zen. Shemay cleared Krawi off of the map, and now who is in trouble? Oh, it's Malful. He has no deflect, and Sir Majed gets nanoed. And this old boy, this guy is cracked. His mechanics so clean on the Zen. And the Florida Mayhem just continue to hold. I mean, Paris Eternal, they got Pulse, they got Blade coming up.
I remember.
Mayhem don't really have an answer to that.
No, not really. I'm still so tickled by the fact that we're still seeing Zenyatta's get nanoed. Like, I saw the buff go through with like the kick, and all of a sudden, like, Zenyatta's were getting nanoed left and right. Just so fun. But someone can still actually stop this. Like, on the Rampage.
There's the,
oh, miss.
hit the pulse on the floor, that's unlucky. And Malful tries to go into both DPSs using their ultimates to try and take care of Sir Majed. And someone just hits the front line with a big Rampage. And that's it, that's the defense, that is done. There's the team kill. Both Dove and Malful tried to get on top of Sir Majed, completely denied. And then someone saw his opening and took it. Paris Eternal with 85% and a little bit on first point. Still a win condition here, Paris, but it's looking tough.
Just get the fuller hold.
Yeah.
That's all, Paris. It's definitely a tough one. I think that the way that, because of how comfortable Florida is as well, working with the Zenyatta and the Ana, like, this is not the first time that we have seen, you know, both of these supports together on this team. It's just been kind of different DPS and different tanks to round it out. But with the Junker Queen as well, I think that just this meta makes that even more powerful. But it's also like only this team that I feel like could really, really, really run with this. Ooh, Dove on the Ashe.
Give me someone extra silly, Mayhem. Put someone on the Winston. Put Hydra on the Junkrat. Put Checkmate on the Torbjorn. Give me someone extra silly. What's this little replay?
Okay.
Oh, this must have been either one of the... Oh, the right click on Lucamino.
Oh.
Woo! There is... Oh, onto Krawi. Okay. There is nothing better than getting a right click from that far away. I'll tell you that right now. And it is a little bit harder now. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Zen's volley used to be a lot quicker. They slowed it down.
Yeah.
So getting it now is a little bit more tough.
Listen,
they're going to run out with the same kind of backline. They've actually got so much head, not on Lucio actually. They've got him on the Zenyatta.
Okay, oh, interesting, interesting. Yeah, okay. I think maybe just to like feel out, maybe if Sir Majed could have gotten like a pick, because he was able to do it the other way on the defense, so maybe on the attack as well, he just gets a quick volley. But the Lucio is going to allow them to go really fast, get around these corners, get the positioning that they want. And especially when you're dealing with the Ashe, right? You're dealing with so much more poke damage. Need to be able to get past that quickly.
Ooh, Lucamino just hiding behind the bin there. Has he got disruption shotted? Oh, Hydra double booped, in fact, straight into the wall. A very, very good assault from Paris Eternal. He tried to go for the Hail Mary as well, just trying to go for the slide jump headshot onto Dove. Didn't end up working out, but that was nice coordination from Paris. They spotted Hydra out in the open. They double booped him into the wall so he couldn't power slide back to the rest of his team.
Yeah, super good stuff. And now that Paris has won that first engagement, they can look at trying to build up to some of these ults before Florida. And if they're able to continue to set the pace like that, get these first picks, get some of these ults online, then they could actually get the fuller hold. But Florida's going to take the same approach they did on their first time around as well, maybe using some of the high ground, especially when Hydron is trying to find an angle. But Paris is playing around this fire truck really well.
Shemay and Malful working up towards that blade pretty quickly, mind you. Although 2 minutes have almost elapsed from the time bank of the Florida Mayhem. Commanding shout for the Paris Eternal already used. Someone used his one just a moment ago, so still. Neutral fight, poking away, earning these blades for the Genjis. Dove trying to poke his head around every single time. Checkmate's not in his face. There's the bomb. Tick man. However, the beat from FloridaMayhem might be good enough. Dub ends up going down, but Bob is still on the field shooting people. And a rally from the Paris Eternal is going to be good for the time being. Doesn't matter if Dub dies, as long as he got that Bob out in time. He acts as the 5th player. He's good. Paris Eternal with a good defense thus far and still hold on to that beat.
That's so big, especially when you may want to bolster up Malthal just to give him that extra support and sustain. FloridaMayhem have it a few times now, just taking out Malthal as soon as he's popped that Dragon Blade. He's maybe a bit vulnerable, maybe a little bit lower on HP when this happens, but the Sound Barrier could definitely help with that. Notice as well, Dove did just switch over to the Sojourn, so now that's another interesting piece of the puzzle that Florida's going to have to figure out.
Nice bit of movement there, Rack Attack jumping over the fire truck to escape this rallying push from the FloridaMayhem. Both blades pulled, not finding anything. Just a little bit of a reset. However, Lucamino ends up going down Summer. Shed of all people hits him with the Cheerios. Malthal reflects Hydron's ult back into RuPaul. I mean, FloridaMayhem is still on the point, and Krawi's super low, and is now onto Hydron to clear off the rest of the Paris Eternal members. A check mark for Mayhem, maybe another one, as the reinforcements are slowly arriving for Paris Eternal. Lucamino gets booped up and killed as the disruptor shot's too much for Malthal to deal with, and the FloridaMayhem will claim map number 2.
It's a little bit closer, though. I mean, Paris put up a really nice fight there on the defense. A lot of really clean engages. And even when you look at control as well, despite the fact that it was a 2-0 for Florida, there were some close rounds there as well, where it wasn't just like 100-0, you know? So maybe Paris looking up. Paris looking up right now.
Looking pretty good. Okay, we'll see where we can go. On to map number 3 is Gibraltar. So things can change. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to jump to a break. Don't go anywhere. Mayhem still need to win this. They've got to close it out. That's right, we are less than a week away from Canada's first ever Overwatch League tournament. It's going to be a good time. Toronto Defiant are hosting the Summer Showdown presented by Bell. That's September 8th to the 11th. Come and experience Esports live. If you can't, you can obviously watch it at home still, but it's always better in person. Get the crowd energy. It's going to be a good time. Plus, there's a ton of extra stuff you can do there as well. You can play some Overwatch too. Come join the party and be sure to check out the Bell Fan Zone for the best seats in the house. It's going to be great. Me and Rose will be there, and yeah, it's going to be a banging time. Casting in front of a live audience, there's nothing like it. I don't know how to really explain the feeling, but it's euphoria. There we go.
I'm so pumped, especially after missing out on the kickoff clash. Man, yeah. I'm so pumped to be there in person.
It's going to be exciting. And seeing all the teams on stage, like, there's a different energy completely, you know, and it's going to feel different for some of these players too. FloridaMayhem still trying to make it there. They're 2-0 up. They need to win today, and it's looking rather likely. We are going on to watch point Gibraltar. While Paris had a decent-ish defense on Midtown, it was still a first hold for Mayhem, which they overran on their attack.
Yeah, it was still a closer game, though, than what we've seen so far. And I think Paris, again, is really still trying to find their footing. I think they're getting there. It's just still going to take maybe a touch longer. But with Gibraltar, this is someone's map. You know, when we look at just how the FloridaMayhem have played throughout the first two stages, especially when Winston was way more meta, someone popped off. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to do on the Junker Queen as well. Looks like we're going to stick to the backline that has really been working for Florida, but the big change here is going to be Hydra actually going with the Ashe, especially using that verticality on this map to really bolster up that attack.
I was hoping we might see a little bit funny, but no. I like Hydra on the Ashe, though. I really like it on this map, and FloridaMayhem still kind of experimenting with the backline. I mean, Sir Majed, we saw what he could do on Midtown, so running Zen here. Not the biggest shock. Not the biggest shock. See what Paris Eternal want to go for.
I don't think they're going to do anything too silly. I mean, even with Dove going on to the Widowmaker, maybe that's just like a kind of a quick pick to see if you can get something and then you go back. Like, like checkmate was in your face. Oh, no, it actually looks like maybe Dove is going for it.
Yeah, and Lucamino and Rakatag are also running the Zen Ana, so no speed boost for either side. I want to see how Dove handles Hydra and vice versa. It's a bit more difficult now for Sir Majed and RuPaul to peek out, but yeah, I mean, Sir Majed's still going to do that anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, sometimes if you feel like the other team is silly, then you got to get a little silly yourself. I really like this backline. I don't think that the Lucio Brig or just kind of like the normal meta team that we've been seeing was really doing Paris enough favors. So maybe this like kind of Widowmaker pressure can really help to get some quick picks and then also force Florida off the high ground.
Just waiting for that opening pick from Dove. Hydron with a beautiful shot onto Dove. Body shot straight into the headshot. Yeah, no deflect from Alpha Lever, so he has to back up. Wonder if Dove ends up switching. Looks like he's wanting to stay on the Widowmaker. Another nice shot from Hydra. Wow. RuPaul managed to sleep Rack Attack on that little corner. That was rather impressive at that range.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, whoa, how did RuPaul hit that shot? Because that was such a weird angle, and I feel like almost maybe he was trying to hit somebody else, but he still hit somebody, so that's good. But
it's definitely one of those angles and like sleep darts that you know they're all coming around that corner, so you just kind of YOLO sleep and then hope you hit somebody, and if you... Oh, nice headshot by Dove. Hydron almost goes down. Oh, Hydron does go down. Muffle cleans that up really easily.
Really big. You still have to take out the back line of Florida, though, and RuPaul's going to be working up to the Nano, and that's a trade.
Oh, there goes your deflect. And there goes the rest of your team. Yeah, the Discord Orb does so much damage. Well, not so much anymore. Nice knife pull from Crowley. Kills Sir Majed pretty quick, fast. Although still, Mayhem with a good hold so far. Minute and 30 seconds to go. just getting the first ultimates online. It's been such a slugfest at the moment.
Yeah, we see the Nano like still being held on to. There's going to be a Nano on the other side as well. At least maybe that can actually help with the Blade. I don't think anybody's really expecting a Transcendence to be online yet. Despite the fact that Zermajin is doing quite a bit of damage, Lucamino's actually going to get the Transcendence online first. So maybe this Nano Blade isn't really going to be that effective.
Good knife pull there onto Krawi, but he backs up just in time. A lot more burst healing in this comp. Oh, what a shot from Dove. There's one dead. I mean, the Arna's alone. This seems like an easy kill. Maybe not, though. As Hydra takes care of Maltho. And now the Nano onto someone is something else that Paris Eternal are going to have to deal with. Nano onto Krawi in return as Hydron sits at 10 HP as the supports are a little bit distracted, dealing with a dive from the Paris Eternal. Now Krawi's made himself into the server room, puts the bleed onto RuPaul, but it doesn't matter. He's got the health back and he's got the backup. Sermajed laid Krawi to rest after that sleep dart, and with 30 seconds to go, Paris Eternal need to get back ASAP.
Yeah, you're going to see Lucamino switch over to the Lucio to help get the team there just a little bit faster. We're going back to basics here for Paris after they used 3 ultimates against the 1 from RuPaul. Now this is it. 10 seconds remaining. Maltho's Blade, Krawi's Rampage. They've got to get the work done here to capture this first point.
And they still got Transcendence in the FloridaMayhem. They still got 4 ults. And they still have Bob. The most important ult in the game. There's the Rampage, hits 2, can't use Transcendence, so Sermajed might want to use it afterwards. Bob comes out, as well as that Blade. Discorded is Malful, still takes out Checkmate. Now 1 ult removed from the FloridaMayhem's bank. Checkmate's going to be able to come back pretty fast as Malful's life cut pretty short with that dagger. And a first point hold for the FloridaMayhem. Looking good going on their offense now.
I feel like we're just going to see the same old from Florida, especially if we looked at how they ended up approaching the defense and then the attack on Midtown. Might just go back to the El Clasico, if you will. The Lucio Brig. We'll see. I do wonder if Paris is going to try something a little different, though, because I feel like they might need a little bit of creativity, just something to try to, like, outsmart Florida here.
I did like the Widow pick from Dove, but he didn't end up getting that many picks. He got 1 onto the Genji, onto Checkmate, but that was after sights too. And you really want your Widow to just kind of open things up, go for the grapple shot, maybe headshot a DPS,
right,
or ideally a support, right? But yeah, especially at this level of competition, your supports. Well, I was going to say you're not aggressively peeking, but then Sermajed on the Zen is more than happy to do that. Nope. Okay.
No, it's just okay.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But no, Dove not going Widowmaker now. He's going to the Ashe instead. Looks like Mayhem are just going to run standard comp. They just want to end this quick sharp.
Well, and I mean, when you think about that too, like the Ana and the Zenyatta that Paris are going with, it's really relying on Paris actually getting those picks. And Florida could just kind of bum rush them here with the Lucio. Speed boost in their face. If Paris isn't careful, this could be a steamroll.
Yeah, Paris definitely have to be respectful of the speed and the energy coming out from FloridaMayhem. Just a slowly but surely payload move, and yeah, get out on the car wash, and now you're in this position without too much interference. Paris Eternal are going to have to drop on somebody.
Oh, well, they were trying. I mean, Checkmate actually got quite low there after Dove landed that giant dynamite. Oh, Hydron too. Pretty good.
All right. Good son.
Deflect.
Another kill for Malful. Double kill for the Genji. Maybe a third. Yes, sir. Krabi takes care of RuPaul. 4 kills for Malful in that fight. Nice one. And 37% out, you'll take that?
Yeah, this is why Florida paid so much respect to Malthol during the first map of this series. Like, Malthol was constantly one of the first picks because Florida knew what Malthol was capable of. Gotta just take it out. The Genji can be so dominant in some of these matchups. So may as well take out some of the firepower of the Paris Eternal. But one more time, up to bat again. Florida trying to get this cart to the finish line.
Nice boop there from Sermajed. Boop and Krabi off the map. Or not off the map, sorry, off the high ground. That'd be insane if you could move that far. Hydron's on the Widowmaker too, mind you. So again, just the single pick is required. Oh, double. Okay, Hydra just double headshots Crowy like straight up. And headshots Dove too.
God.
Okay, switch to Hydron. We got to see him pop off. 2 kills for the Widowmaker. This is not exactly something that Dove kind of reproduced in his attack. I mean, as a tank, you feel pretty safe going against Widow. You're like, yeah, whatever, right? You can't, surely he doesn't double headshot me. Surely.
Yeah, that was some pretty nice marksmanship there. This is why we've looked at Hydron as kind of like the Widowmaker specialist there on Circuit Royale for Florida, playing the Sojourn as a part of this team for this stage. I mean, another pick here, and this is it.
Oh, there you go. Speak of the pick, and it will appear. Marathon as well. Jesus. Hydron is just clapping. Transcendence for Paris Eternal to keep them alive on the point. Another headshot for Hydron. It's just too easy for him. You can see exactly why FloridaMayhem are playing him right now. And there you go. FloridaMayhem with a 3-0 clean sweep against the Paris Eternal.
Wow. Oh,
they're not out of this just yet. Summer Showdown still in their sights. And that's going to be a crazy couple of days. And they're going to have to wait and see if their result and their fate is not decided before that game against the NYXL tomorrow. What a showing from Hydron at the very end.
Jeez, that headshot into the Zen, yeah, like, oh, poor Lucamino, like, just walked right into that one. But three headshots at the end to seal the deal? Gosh darn, Hydron, like, you're on something else today.
Man,
Absolutely
little sneaky PM in the chat too from Hydron. Some things never change. Shad. Yeah, FloridaMayhem looking good. I mean, yeah, the scoreline couldn't paint a better picture. Paris Eternal didn't get a single point in this series. Still a lot to hope for if you're a Paris Eternal fan. Maybe they'll change things up going into the next meta, and let's see how they end up transforming around the new meta that's potentially coming with the next patch.
Right.
That's all up for debate. But what's important right now is the FloridaMayhem with a 3-0. They needed to win. They got it quite easily, and now they're looking forward to that match against the New York Excelsior tomorrow. But first, do the player of the match. It's going to be Sermar for this one.
Yeah.
He's quite aggressive Lucio player on most of the time, but his Zen play, oh yes, on Midtown. That sort of spoke volumes. He was leading final blows on Midtown too for FloridaMayhem.
Absolutely wild. I mean, Hydron, of course, put on a flashy showing at the end of Gibraltar, but there's a lot that you have to rely on the support line to do for you in this meta. And the fact that Sermar can play so flexibly between the Lucio and then, of course, the Zenyatta, like, that was so fun to watch. And I think that's one of the reasons why we, you know, like looking at Florida these last few matches is they're coming up with strategies that really work for them individually as a team. And so Sermar, yeah, putting up some numbers. Look at the offensive assists per 10 minutes. Who? That's all the orbs of Discord there. And Harmony.
Yeah, playing to your strengths. It's normally half the battle, right? And yeah, they're doing that in spades when they have Sermar on the Zen. They look good. FloridaMayhem, we'll see how they end up facing New York Excelsior tomorrow. Unfortunately, Paris Eternal still not able to clutch out an additional win. But, you know, like I said, there's hope in the future. I think for Florida now, I mean, Hydron sticking on that Widow, it definitely feels pretty good, but probably could have given the player of the match Tim too. So it was quite up in the air.
It was a close one there, yeah.
I think there are a few people that we can give it to, yeah, but we've got another banger of a game coming up in just a moment. Washington Justice and the Houston Outlaws fighting for some placing. We'll have to wait and see how that goes down. But we're going to take a quick break before that game. We'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Break. I'm joined here with Hydra from the Florida Mayhem. That was a speed run right there of the Paris Eternal. You guys are looking pretty dominant right now. You've had a pretty interesting stage though, because you guys haven't really played the meta that everyone usually has. Walk me through that. Why are you guys playing the double flex support? Why are you guys sort of playing that different kind of look?
Because the meta now is just boring, so we need to spice things up. But I think, honestly, the double flex stuff is pretty good on some maps, and it kind of throws teams off when they never play against it in practice, because everyone plays meta. So when they play against it for the first time, sometimes they freeze.
Yeah, no, it absolutely works. And I have a quick follow-up. When did the Surmaged Lucio first come into fruition? When did the idea get planted for the first time?
It's been a planted seed for a couple months. There's a speck of hope with this Lucio, but now it's starting to pay off. So,
No, he's a very talented player. So, talking about talented players, Exy started this stage on the hit scan, and you've since become the consistent hit scan player for the Florida Mayhem. What caused that transition? Are you the better Sojourn, just more comfortable in this meta?
Yeah, I think it's probably like a meta thing. I'm more of a really aggressive type player, I'd say, and he's more of like a point and click. So I kind of just go in, and that's kind of what this meta is. So I think that's why I'm playing.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And, the Toronto LAN, it's coming up soon, next weekend. You guys are still in the running with your match coming up against the New York Excelsior tomorrow. How confident are you guys? They've been looking better, but so have you guys.
Yeah, it's not going to be close. So I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to make Toronto. So,
I'm excited to see you guys there. Another speed run coming tomorrow for Florida versus New York Excelsior. Hydra, thank you very much for joining me, and good luck in your match tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Back to the truck. Danny, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Hydra, for the interview, and of course, thank you, Costa, for the insight. Well, that last bit, it was like he said, it's not even going to be close. And I think it's more interesting because when I interviewed New York Excelsior yesterday, they said the same thing. They were like, oh, we got a lot planned for them. It's not going to be close. We're going to win. That's all happening tomorrow. But before that, let's talk about this match. It was definitely an easy and fast dub for the Florida Mayhem. Johnny, how are you doing?
All right. I got my buddies over here. We're chilling. We got Hammond. we got Gungermate over here. Like, we're hanging out, we're chilling. We're having a good time. It's all good. It's video games, all right? It's video games.
It is video games.
It happens.
Well, I think when the match first started, I thought Paris was going to put on some fight, but
First round was close, yeah.
yeah, but
First round, it was close.
and then after that, just everything just fell apart. What happened?
Okay.
You guys.
Look. All right. So, I think it was like a month or so ago. A former assistant coach by the name of By Zenith from the San Francisco Shock, he tweeted out that he was very sympathetic to players on the Vancouver Titans and the Paris Eternal and some of these other teams that have been struggling, like New York Excelsior, for example. Because honestly, he basically made the case that like the mechanical skill discrepancy, it's not as big as you think. Like if you looked at this series and just looked at the result, just like, wow, Florida Mayhem 3-0, Paris Eternal got full held 2 maps in a row. I mean, that just means that Paris Eternal players are bad, right? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's like the case. Yeah, sure, I would say that, Hydra, Checkmate, someone like these guys have tons of talent, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't put them down. But the Paris Eternal guys, like, if the Paris Eternal guys are in a system that they're allowed to flourish in, I would think they would do much better. They didn't lose because they were the worst mechanical team between these two. They lost because their communication seemed awful, like their target prioritization was even worse. Like, they're not put in a position to succeed when like Malthal is like dashing in and then he gets no help. So Malthal dashes out as Krawi is going in and Dub is like doing his own thing, like on the hit scan. Like these guys, they're just not put in a position to succeed. They're not put into a system to look good as players. So I'm not going to blame the Paris Eternal players. I don't think this is necessarily all their fault. They're a lot more talented than they're giving credit for, especially after a loss like this. Paris Eternal as an organization, at some point, I think they need to answer for the fact that, you know, they were 8-8 last year. They looked good as a team. Galamese was like a Coach of the Year candidate. And so far this year, they had like a good roster on paper. We were like, this is a pretty decent team that could compete with the best. They were tragic. You know what? They went like 1-12 before they got dropped. Now you bring in contenders champions here, just like, hey, these guys, they won contenders. You pick up Krawi as well over Vulcan for some reason. And you're like, hey, we believe in these guys. And they go 0-9, and they can't even pick up a point versus the Florida Mayhem. I don't necessarily blame the players. Like, I think the franchise needs to look at like what they're doing and how to enable their players to look as good as possible. Because they're not fulfilling the player skill. I'm not going to blame the players in this one.
Yeah, I want to jump onto that as well, because I think the Paris Eternal, they're just a team. Remember, they got thrown in the middle of this stage, so they haven't really had that run-up, that practice against the best teams. But on top of that, the Vancouver Titans are a prime example. This is a team that was winless until this stage, and I think it's easy to forget that, like, when we were watching some of Vancouver's matches, we were like, that's tragic. Like, they had matches like this. While all it takes is maybe some minor adjustments in the coaching staff, the players get a little bit more confidence, and then all of a sudden, you know, Vancouver's going to Toronto. They look like a competitive team in this meta. I want to see that for the Paris players. I hope next stage we see a better, more well-prepared, and more indicative performances from these skills.
I know we got to move on, but I just want to second that. I think DP deserves a ton of credit for how he turned the Vancouver Titans around, and we don't acknowledge like DP's accomplishments in the Overwatch League enough. Yeah.
It's fine. You just did right now.
Well, we're going to see more of them later, so, you know, I'll get a few minutes then.
Of course. I mean, congrats to the Florida Mayhem, of course, but they have one more match tomorrow. Paris Eternal on the other side, definitely they do seem like they do have a lot more homework that they need to do. All right, that is it for the first match. Let's move on to our second match of the day. We got Washington Justice versus the Houston Outlaws. This one's gonna be, I feel like this is gonna be a good match. Houston looked very good. Pelican looked amazing. What was their last match? It was against Atlanta Reign. Yeah. They won 3-2. Right?
Yes.
And
I thought we discussed the Vancouver Titans before the break, but yes, you're right. It was Atlanta Reign, yeah.
And Washington Justice, the same. Like they had some roster changes, and I honestly think they look better.
Yeah. No. Honestly, ever since they lost 3 of their like star players, they've actually been performing to a better level. I think Assassin has stepped up on that Genji.
Assassin was great.
Yeah, Decay can step over to that Sojin. You know, Kalios is apparently the best Junker Queen in the league.
All right, calm down. Calm down. Yeah.
But like, really, they have been improving. My big question is, if the Houston Outlaws can perform and Pelican and Merit can perform at the highest level, it is going to be hard for the Washington Justice to win this match. But it is not unreasonable. We've seen matches where Pelican and Merit have gone missing, and the Washington Justice are in the position to be able to punish that.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree. I think that Houston Outlaws, they probably look like the favorites because Pelican and Merit has been on an absolute tear this stage. But overall, the Washington Justice, as you mentioned, like as a whole, I think they've been playing really well. And Assassin on Genji, he looks spectacular. And if they can play around Assassin's Genji, if he doesn't, you know, go into his feeding frenzy, I think the Washington Justice could put up a really good fight against the Outlaws.
I mean, yeah, definitely this is going to be a very good match. Other than Johnny, everyone has picked Houston Outlaws here. Let's see what our casters think about this match. Mitch and Matt, who do you guys have for this matchup?
This is a hard one, Matt. What do you reckon? I think I made my pick. I said it'll be a map 5. Yeah. What do you mean, is it? What do you reckon? Johnny's the only one that... Who'd you go for, Johnny? The Justice, right? What do you reckon, Matt? What do you mean, is it?
I sided with Johnny yesterday and I was wrong, but I kind of like the Justice in this one. I feel like the Justice, they've been ascending as of late.
You've been baited by Kalios tweeting his stats, bro!
I take a flyer on the Justice. Take a flyer on the Justice. Why not?
Okay. What do you guys think? Okay, so let's actually have this Kalios conversation really quickly, because some of these stats make him look really good, but I argue that like they're kind of framed in a way that glosses over his high rate of deaths. Do you think that's actually a significant part of his stats that is being omitted, or do you guys think that he is a real deal and like a top Junker Queen in the league?
So I will actually say this, especially against the Houston Outlaws, he needs to be very careful, Kalios, that is on the Junker Queen, because we have seen Merit flex over to Ashe a lot of the time. Yeah. That's going to be a more passive pick. So Kalios, for example, he's going to be forced to rampage aggressively to go in, whereas Dante with the Ashe can like rampage, you know, to reactively, like when the Washington Justice are pushing in to punish that. So I gotta say, Kalios, he has to be very careful about the dynamite damage and just like the headshots coming in from Merit on the Ashe.
Yeah, and I also think the numbers are quite skewed as well. You need to keep that in mind. Like, he has had a small sample size. They obviously had some easier matches. He is a good Junker Queen, but from the eye test, it does not line up with how dominant his stats are. So take it with a grain of salt. Stats are not everything in Overwatch.
Yeah, Homie do be looking like Oxfam levels of feeding. I do want to know also, Danny, what's on your Crocs? What's on your Crocs?
Danny looks like
I thought you said
he looks like Superman from like the
Danny,
neck up
damn.
and then
I got some fire. I got shrimp. I got a controller and 89. My year of birth. Got a watermelon.
What's with the watermelon?
Don't give out too much info, Danny. Don't give out too much info.
Danny doxing himself via his Crocs live on
and then I got
broadcast.
represent LA, baby.
We have to
Let's
say
go.
goodbye.
I got LA right here. All right.
All right. We'll leave you guys to it. We'll catch it. We need a beverage sometime soon, by the way, boys. You come up here to Overwatch. We haven't caught up yet, so let's make that happen. Matt,
he's got to put a life alert in one of his, like, you know, those life alert things they have around their neck, right? You know,
yeah, I do. On his
one
Crocs.
of those life alert things in his Crocs.
That's how he holds that. That's how he hides the house arrest bracelet as well. He just pins it to his Crocs. You know, he doesn't look like a felon. Obviously, I do love a bit of self-expression via one's footwear, even if it is, you know, Crocs, Matthew. But you know, you've already sort of said, okay, you feel like the Justice, you're taking a flyer on them here. A little bit of an outside pick, but both these teams, neither of these teams are in clinching scenarios here. But the winning team, especially the Justice, are like +5 in map differential. So a win here for the Justice could put them into the top 4 if a couple other things go right. It's not at the realm of possibility.
Honestly, between teams like this that are kind of like so close in this type of meta, it's... You don't really want to kind of like say it's a coin flip, but it's really close, right? Like you can kind of see this one going either way with how both of these teams are playing. Like you mentioned, they're not like a clinching scenario, right? So you're really just kind of like jostling for position here in the Summer Showdown. Let's see who it means more to, obviously, right? I know with kind of how we see the teams play out today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's have a closer look at the Washington Justice here. Yes, fielding a 5-player roster, the only one of its kind in the Overwatch League, but these 5 players seem to be all that they need. And Matt, already been mentioned, but Assassin is turning up as a West best, I won't say league best, but West best Genji player. He is number 1 in hero damage coming into this week, number 2 in Dragon Blade kills and Dragon Blade efficiency. That's, you know, kills per Dragon Blade. The guy is seriously causing a lot of damage here, and I think he's well positioned, you know, in a kind of matchup where, you know, Johnny mentions Merit likes to play Ashe. He likes to play a little bit more safe. Assassin's going to be the one to try and put some pressure on that backline and that Ashe.
And Kalios is not going to play safe. He is going to get aggressive on the Junker Queen. That's the kind of playstyle they go for. I believe the last match we casted, a lot of times you like lose them early, but then Decay was there on the Sojourn to like pick up a kill or 2 to really swing things in the Justice's favor. So I think you're going to have a pretty epic DPS matchup today between Assassin, Decay versus Merit and Pelican.
I mean, every pick'em that I've seen from anyone, regardless of which team they have winning, says they expect this to be a 5-map series. So everybody is already expecting quite the extravaganza between the Washington Justice and, of course, their opponents, the Houston Outlaws. Again, look, this team has definitely some defining features in this kind of matchup. I think Merit's already been touched on here. Leps look fantastic as he's come into the league. And Lastro is tied with Skewed for top Inspire uptime percentage in the league. So it's another hero that Lastro's ostensibly flexed over to, where he's putting out league best stats.
And Dante, for all in, you know, he's basically turned into a tank this season, right? You know, playing the Doomfist, then, you know, it looked like maybe potentially trying to move back into like some of the damage dealing, but then obviously his Junker Queen really good and strong that they want to have him play that tank role yet again, which kind of pays off, obviously, to have somebody as flexible as Dante on your roster going into the season, right? With 5v5 and everything kind of like new with Overwatch 2, didn't really know how it was going to play out. He's ended up working out for the Outlaws in a huge way.
So between these two teams, the Justice actually lead the Outlaws by a map differential of +4, which is really quite significant considering that they're both at 3 and 2 right now. So this is a matchup of 4th plays 6th. And again, getting into that top 4, it's going to make a big difference in terms of how your first couple rounds go when we get to Toronto. But both these teams are locked, so it's a great primer for what we should expect for two middle-of-the-pack, highly competitive rosters heading into the Summer Showdown.
Here's something odd. Do you want to avoid the 4th slot? So, that 4th place team obviously doesn't get to pick like their round 1 opponent. If the Gladiators were to qualify, I imagine you are signing up for a round 1 against the Gladiators, right?
So that's a great point. I think obviously the Mayhem are really
in a really
chasing,
roundabout way, yes.
Yeah, the Mayhem are chasing that spot, to sort of sneak their way in, as are sort of New York. So the Gladiators, though, they're at 0 map differential right now. So yeah, there's a chance they come in at 8th, and no one is going to want to pick them because as soon as land comes around, it's like, hang about. These guys always seem to find another level, and maybe we'll continue to see them explore that flexibility they've again been able to display. So that might be on the line here. Again, I'd say that neither team's thinking too much about that, as there's some of that is really going to be out of their hands here. But again, a matchup to really show your stuff. Both of these teams, of course, have played host to Happy at one time or another. I think there's some confusion there as well. I think Scotty was like, oh, Happy on the Outlaws. I know, it's kind of crazy. Both these teams have had incredible players come through. They have incredible players still on the rosters. And that stylistic difference between Merit and Decay might also come to the fore in this kind of matchup. Not only, Matt, when it comes to the choice of preferred hit scan hero. We know Merit likes to play that Ashe. But also, of course, of like that less aggressive style from Merit. But it's been what has enabled him to do incredible things like find that the triple collat railgun. You know what I mean? The guy makes sure he stays around in those fights for a long time, not just a good time.
I think, like Johnny mentioned, though, you can play a little bit slower, maybe with that Ashe, right? On you got Junkertown in the pool, right? For map number 2, that would be good for the Ashe play. Some points here on Busan, even, right? So maybe you're able to use that little bit of a slower type of play and bring the Ashe in if you're the Outlaws.
Yeah, part of Izo as well is an opportunity to get value out of that Ashe. We've seen quite a few teams, try and make it work. I think Edison played a bit of it there against the Shock and worked out pretty nicely here. Now, again, historically, control maps look pretty good for the Outlaws, which obviously bodes well if you're going to be going to a sort of a long series here. But I do suggest you throw much of that out of the window because the Justice are fielding a much different look here. And remember about Kalios, remember about that aggression. Will the Outlaws be able to punish it, or does Kalios have a change in tact for this matchup? A fascinating head-to-head here between the Washington Justice and the Outlaws. It's 8 and 9, plays 12 and 5.
Yeah, and we'll get right into it in a sec. As do we see an Ashe here? No, it'll be just the Sojourns for both sides. So looks like the Outlaws just kind of going towards the point as the Justice is going to take this right side.
The Outlaws waste no time, and they kind of leave Pelican as a loose end here. He's probably hoping that Decay overextends to some degree, or if he has a chance to be, third party onto Assassin. Decay opts to sort of rotate around to a slightly safer position. Note that Merit's playing on that left-hand side here, so really trying to put his team in between him and the Justice. Decay, though, slowly inching forward here, applying a little bit of pressure to Pelican. A lot of poke on Dante here. The Justice are very healthy by comparison. The Outlaws need to get Dante topped up, otherwise they're going to have to give up this ground.
Oh, yeah, as Dante getting so low, and it's going to be Decay actually finding Pelican. It looked like almost he was trying to just burn down Dante, but the rail goes right through.
Yeah, I mean, great start in that fight for the Washington Justice, Matt. Decay's able to move up, and Pelican's at half health or so. A lot of damage getting spread there as well by Krillin, who's able to push up and just punish anyone from the Outlaws overextended. And we did see Dante get booped around in that fight there. So, good opener. I just feel like the damage was well spread by the Justice here. They just had higher output.
Yeah, so it'll be Justice now racking up percent on the point. You see Assassin way closer to this Dragon Blade here than Pelican, where how do you want to attack this if you're the Outlaws? You're going to have to go around this outside, maybe poke a little bit, see if you can get a knife from Dante onto one and get somebody in close.
But Junker Queen's taking a lot of damage, but again it's Decay who finds a pick. This time it's on Lep, and now the Outlaws are pretty much condemned to push forward into this fight and give it up. Not great considering this is going to put the Justice rather above 50%. Look at that. Sound barrier's already up. They've got the blade for Assassin here. Now, Lep's team's taken a ton of damage, which has allowed him, obviously, to build his sound barrier, but still slower than Opener. The Justice, so much to work with here.
Yeah, and it's just not really great for the Outlaws in the sense that you're looking at this fight kicking off, what, 75% here on this point. Now you have a bunch of ults kind of thrown in. You may have one more attempt after that, and it may not even be a good one, depending on how it goes.
Now Assassin takes his time to a degree, but he sees the rally come out, and it's time for the blade, so he forces the Outlaws to layer their support ultimates. Decay's going to hold on to that overclock for the time being, and Pelican still doesn't have a blade of his own. He'll get a mid to late fight, if at all. Merit needs to connect a few of these railguns. He's got a lot of space. That trademark passiveness giving him the safety he needs to line Assassin up. But it's been a trade. Dante falls in the front line here, which means that the Outlaws are still at great risk if they want to push up. But Pelican is going to try and make the play with the blade, and there's no support ultimates to slow him down here. Commanding shout will be there from Kalios, but that's going to be about it as Opener falls to the blade. Pretty conservative stuff from Pelican there, Matt. He knew he only had to get the really one kill.
Yeah, and he knew that the Justice were going to back out kind of regardless, right? As you saw, Kalios gets his ultimate there, but he decides to, you know, back out. No reason to just kind of force the issue. You know you pretty much depleted all the Outlaws' resources, and I was going to say you go around this corner, hit a nice rampage, and you're good to go, but it's Merit finding a kill on a Decay that's massive. It's going to buy a little bit more time for Houston.
I mean, Matt, in fairness, Decay was positioned ahead of Kalios there, peeking the corner, maybe trying to find an early pick of his own. He gets punished for that. Merit has far more space to work with than his opposite number. But the Justice are, of course, already at 99% here. We head into a fight where both teams likely will have Rampage. It'll be extremely volatile because there'll be no support ultimates to try and dampen the impact of that anti-heal and damage.
Yeah, ooh, a nice little jump off the side here from Kalios. It's getting closer. I think just trying to line this up. He's got to be careful, though. Commanding shout to give himself a little bit more help.
He wants it. Oh, that's an angle and a half. 3 players connected with there. Dante has to use his Rampage, and he only catches Kalios. The rest of the Justice could go to work, but Assassin is brought down by Dante. Decay returns to the fight and finds one, and now we have a 3v3 on the point. Commanding shout there, and Krillin's going to be falling to the disruptor shot. Dante shout will send the Outlaws forward, and winning that fight here is absolutely massive.
And Merit was able to do so much work, man. Like, he rotated all the way around to basically this point here where the Justice are coming from and started to just crossfire on the Sojourn from there, and just so unpredictable. So, like, you know, the Justice didn't expect him to be kind of firing from that position. Nobody ends up turning, and you're kind of split between two halves of the Outlaws, and now the Justice find themselves in a lot of trouble.
Lastro with the rally here. Be able to use that one preemptively if the Justice start to make the push, which they naturally are going to have to. And there it is. Lastro lets it go at the start of the fight here. So some overshield given out to Merit and Co. Merit, again, playing pretty safely. Doesn't want to inch too far forward, but is going to be harassed by Assassin, who's getting very close to a Dragon Blade. That will be a little bit of a red flag if it comes out for the Outlaws, and here it is. Assassin doesn't want to give them any time to respond. Left doesn't have a sound barrier yet, but Assassin is accosted as well. He's forced to turn around. Now to deal with the front line of the Outlaws, and Pelican is down. Decay has the room to work with, and perhaps it was Assassin that set that up. He had to give up his life for it, though, as Lastro is able to take him down, but Decay surges forward here. And away! The Outlaws forced. That's unreal. That's just unreal. The Justice were on the point. They push off of it.
There's 4 players there. There's no forcing off of the point.
I mean, the Outlaws get forced away, but the Justice weren't set on the point. They didn't have a capped. That's not cricket, as they say.
It's not good. But the Justice were, you know, in control for a good amount of that round. The Outlaws battle back, though, I tell you what. Once Merit went on that flank, started picking up some kills, it was...
they pushed it off the point.
Yeah,
chase the Outlaws, just take the W. Please, it's like 95 degrees in here. Anything that sort of causes my mental state to decline combined with this heat, it's got to have some fruity results, the Justice. Please help me, help you to help me.
I was about to say, if I wasn't aware your mental state could decline. I mean, that's dangerous.
Rock Bottom has a basement, Morello.
Does it?
Yeah. Oh, my guy. Oh, my guy. All right. Kalios takes a fair bit of a licking at the start of the fight, but Assassin's managed to work his way around here. Lep speeds the Outlaws forward, but they've not been able to find a target. It's Krillin and Kalios are getting battered Yeah, Kalio's falling down here. Great early pressure from Houston, despite the fact that Assassin was able to wrap around to their backline pretty quickly.
And the fact that, I mean, I'm more impressed with Pelican. Like, he was so weak, and from Assassin's POV, it looked like there were 2 players, like, attacking him. He's able to survive all of that. Some help with the reinforcements from the Outlaws. I think if you're the Justice, you may still be a little bit boomed after how that round ended, right? Like, still kind of mentally trying to recover here, where, you know, first little bit of this round, obviously, kind of tough to bring it back.
Here's a commanding shot here. The Justice need to buckle down. Decay's pretty powerful position here. A little bit hard to harass, but he opts to give up the high ground in favor of having a more target-rich environment. But the same can be said of the Outlaws as the Justice drop right into their laps. And they get absolutely eviscerated.
Oh, Pelican's got a blade here. This is not great. This is not the second round that the Justice, like, they actually could have just won the last one, kind of taken some confidence, right?
I mean,
going to this one.
Yeah, sure.
They end up kind of beefing it at the end, and now you find yourself way behind here at the beginning of this round.
Some mid-range poke here from Pelican. He wants to drop down a la Batman and turn this into Gotham with the blade. Here it comes. Okay, immediate deflect there from Assassin. He has to get away, but Kalios has fallen. Good start here for the Outlaws. Either way, this play doesn't need to do anything because the Outlaws seem to be so coordinated, and they're punishing the Justice with this pace of play.
And the Justice are okay to, like, back out and kind of concede in some of these fights. The issue is they don't have many fights left. They just can't keep backing out and giving them up.
This is it, right?
Yeah, you've dumped all your eggs into this basket, right? 4 out of the 5 players have ults. Coming off this high ground here, but, you know, Merit has been so good. He got that early pick in that last fight in the last round that really kind of turned the tides.
Merit, a dearth of targets, but it does slow the Justice down at 96%. Washington need to move to the point here. Decay hoping to put some pressure down, but he hasn't connected too much either. Here's the Rampage. Decay hit by it. He's forced to take it to the high ground, and Pelican's there to meet him. Hammer and anvil stuff here for the Houston Outlaws. And now the Justice are down to 4. Sound barrier has expired, but Krillin was able to use that opening to find Pelican. It's a trade at best, though. Merit able to operate on the high ground, but he's a little low when Assassin knows it. He chases him down. That's 2 for the Genji in this fight. And then Justice have managed to organize a stay of execution at least.
And they've given themselves a real chance, right? Because both support ultimates end up being used there by the Outlaws. Let's see this as it's Pelican out of a dash. Oh, that's nice there from Krillin. But now Kalios, he has his Rampage, right? You can use this like over by the choke where everybody kind of has to funnel down, or the alleyway here. No support ult in response. So you do have an opportunity to really make this a game if you're the Justice. Oh, he's going to be so careful. He doesn't want to use a commanding shout, but...
Here's a Rampage. Pretty good connection. The hitbox on that is like a bloody Mack truck. And Lep is downed. Dante here with the anti-heal and tick damage. Decay throws some extra dots in. Throw dots, more dots. Pelican caught by the Jagged Blade here, and it will be 2 in a row by the Justice.
I love Pelican's idea there, is that he gets ripped in by the Jagged Blade, and he's like, well, I'm most likely going to die anyway, so let me just dash forward even further into the other team, try and get some damage or some kills down. Okay, well, Merit with a headshot here onto Assassin. Is Assassin's just kind of like jumping up on the high ground? That could be it.
To the high ground it goes. Look at the Justice. Look at all the ground they've given up. So the Outlaws trot their way onto the point here. Dante a little low. He'll be patched up in just a moment, and now Rally got to be used immediately. Pelican, where's the blade target? Okay, spots out the Sojourn here. Can he keep eyes? Oh my! Pelican slapped up beside the head. His eyebrows at risk of disappearing into his hairline, low as it is. And that'll be it. The Outlaws keep the Justice at bay. An absolutely wacky first map in this series. But Busan goes the way of the Lone Star State.
I think if you're the Justice, you can just take a little bit of time after this map 1 to regroup. I think seemed a little bit out of sorts after how that round 1 ended, but the Outlaws took advantage, especially Merit, going on that flank in that first round and picking up some kills, and then the early pick here onto Assassin, that final fight really turned the tide in their team's favor.
Yeah, despite some moments definitely deserving of a Benny Hill theme, played on loop. We still see these teams look quite competitive when it comes to these fights. The eye test does not lie in this case. So stick around, everybody. More opportunities for the Justice to gain some ground or drop the spaghetti after the break.
Please don't let me in. Please don't let me into my zone. I just need some time on my own. All these people trying to get a conversation. You can conversate to that tone. My gut eyes on that throne, yeah. So I'm never alone, yeah. All these people trying to box me in. I'm in my weather, it's on, yeah. Now they ask where I'm at. Making hits that line back. I'm MJ, I'm 2-3, man. I just need some time back. I'm zoned in like defense. My life gone, no recess. But I live my best one, so I got no regrets. So I'm gone. Finally back in my home. I'm working like so much, they swear I had me a clone. Can't answer my phone now, just leave it there, that tone. Ballin' can't beat me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
So quite a few of the realities, the features that Doctor Strange peeked into in that first map, actually saw these teams be very competitive for like 3 whole rounds. You know, just an absolute barn burner, and it was incredible. In our reality, in our shard of the multiverse, the Justice just C9 in on the first round, just walk straight off the point. And the second, they just, well, they don't quite get there. You know, they managed to bring things back after being well behind, almost gets to overtime, but Merit goes hog wild. 30% of his team's damage, 8 final blows, 1 death. This is why we hyped the guy up. He's doing some serious work, and frankly, Matt, with 1 death over the entirety of Busan, there's not enough pressure on him from the Justice.
Yeah, I mean, we already know, like, I mean, everybody kind of mentions that, like, Merit may be a little bit more, like, wants to play a little bit more, like, further back, a little bit more passive, per se. I mean, I don't really know if you can kind of call him a passive player. Like, we see him in the mix constantly, just kind of, like, is wherever the team needs him to be. But if you're not going to really make him sweat in terms of, like, having to deal with multiple players in his face, he is just going to dominate this series, you think?
I think he gets that label from like a low death count, but also because he seemed to prefer to play Ashe. So people, you know, just, it's a little lazy, I think, just to label him as a more passive player. But also, like, the longer that your Junker Queen survives, the more of a defensive zone you have to operate in. Which is actually one of the issues we've seen for the Justice in the past, is that they, obviously, if they lose Kalios early, they can't really advance. We saw it in a couple rounds on that first round of Busan. Anyway, we digress a little bit, because regardless of whether he's aggressive or passive, Merit is where he needs to be, like you said. Paraiso, second map here, and it's going to be the Outlaws starting on defense, and no shock here in terms of those picks. We have Merit on Sojourn once more, and we know
you could have played the Ashe here?
Sure.
Like if you were going to play the Ashe, this would have been the one. Yeah, yeah, that's a great point, Mitch. Not shocked they're running the composition that 99% of teams are running outside of Florida.
I mean, I said no shocks. You said, well. Okay, all right.
Well, because we talked so much about the Ashe play. I know you don't remember. It was like 20 minutes ago. But, like, we talked a lot about the Ashe.
You are older than me. All right? My memory is well and truly intact. Thank you.
But I'm
you're the one that's
than
training
you in
UFC.
Spirit, you know?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Just because you don't have a kid, mate. All right, I ages you real quick. Trust.
Yeah, you're still putting the cassettes in your car.
Okay. You have a 5 CD stacker, don't lie. Weirdo. Assassin over the top here. Just, you know, waltzes back through the disruptor shot, and they managed to catch Pelican here, so in the neutral, the Outlaws get overextended somewhat. But they don't really have any choice. They're being essentially surrounded as Assassin is walking back and forth through the choke here, and Dante is very, very low. He has 2 supports up right now, but I don't think there's any packs available for Lastro. So they just have to slowly top him up.
It's so costly, though, like, in terms of, like, just overall, like, player HP pool to make this trek around the corner, though, for the Justice and not have a little bit of, like, a pit stop to regroup is, yeah, this should be the Outlaws who take it. So, one thing you kind of always have to even think about, and I think especially more in this meta, right, where there's not like a ton of fast, like, you know, commanding shout, right, gives the heal, but like there's not a ton of like burst healing, like especially like single targets, to where you come around that first corner and the second corner, and let's say you're down a player if you're the Outlaws. If you just look at like just the amount of health the players on the Justice have, like, the overall HP pool may be larger on the Outlaws because they're just overall healthier, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's just the Junker Queen, right? That
they come around the corner, the Justice, like, what they almost could have done is like taken like a half of a second, like a little bit of a beat to just like get some health right here where we're seeing decays and then push through, but they just went straight for it.
Here's a rally from Lastro, well ahead of Krillin, by the way. Lastro did so much work in that previous fight. And how do you answer this? I mean, you're pretty reluctant to use a sound barrier.